Hello friends, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a video that I actually wasn't planning on doing this year, which is to sort of round up and give you my thoughts on our curriculum from the previous year. My dog is scratching at the floor, I'm sorry. I do have two little housekeeping things to mention to you really quickly, and then we will jump into it. The first one is that I have some printables in my shop on my website. I will leave that link down below. I get so many questions about meal planning and chore routines and things of the like, and so I did create some printables. So those are available on my website now. Like I said, I'll link that. And I'm also working on some mostly preschool related printables and things like that that you can incorporate. So there are some really fun like animal flashcards and stuff like that. I have a lot more that I'm working on and hoping to add to the little shop on my website soon, but that's all there. And then also there will be a link down below to sign up. I am working on something that is arguably one of the biggest things, other than writing my book, that I have ever created or done. And so it's something I've just really been pouring my heart into, and something that I have wanted to create for years and just never felt like I could sit down and take the time to do it. But I have done that because it's just become increasingly more important to me. And as I'm watching things evolve and change within the school system and so many people flooding to homeschooling, this is something I've been wanting to create for a really long time. So if you would like to get on the wait list to be the first to know about that when it releases and all of the details, there's a link down below in the description box, and I will probably pin a comment as well, and you can sign up to get on that list. So without further ado, let's jump into the curriculum. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, hi, welcome. I'm very long-winded. I always say I'm going to attempt not to be, but it just happens, and I can't help it because I have so many things I want to share with you about different things. I want everything to make sense, and I try to like head your questions off at the pass by trying to explain as much as I can. I don't know if that's the right way to do it or not, but it's how I do it. So I want to start before I jump into the curriculum, and some of it I have here, some of it I don't, but I will insert pictures and stuff where I don't because I've already done a lot of my organizing and moving things and such. However, I want to mention that if you come lay down, your mom will be back soon. Just come lay down. My daughter's dog. He's so attached and needy. Oh, don't lick me. He licks. He licks so much. Lay down. Anyways, so this past year, we moved to a farm, a little family farm homestead that we're building it up to be a homestead. And right now it's sort of like a hobby farm, but we do have a ton of animals and a ton going on, and we've been having to build things and get structures in place. And so this year has been a very strange year for our family in terms of schooling and such. For many of you, it might be the same for various reasons, right? Maybe you didn't move, but maybe because of everything going on with the pandy and kids doing virtual school, and then you getting sick of that, so you decide that you're just going to homeschool, or as soon as you heard that virtual school, you pulled your kids out and you're homeschooling. There's so many families new to homeschooling this year, and I do think that for many people it was a bit of a wild, wild west year. And even though this is I'm going on 10 years now, I think, homeschooling, it was a wild, wild west year for us too. The truth is that I think every family, especially if you're homeschooling in the long term and for the long haul, you're going to have those years where things just don't go according to plan. And that's the beautiful thing about homeschooling, is the ability it gives you to pivot and to change and to let your homeschool reflect what's happening in your life, and not be bound to the constraints of a school system saying this is what you have to do, this is where you have to be and when. It's so flexible. So thanks for coming to my TED Talk about homeschooling, and now let us move on. With that said, we did not end up doing a lot of the extras this year. I know that I've talked about that before. We do some smaller units and stuff, but a lot of the extras did not happen for us this year. And for the first few months, I really tried to force it. But the reality was that there were so many things happening and that needed to be taken care of around here. And my kids were out like doing the things. They were out hands-on, helping build things. And it really helped to change my perspective, and I really began to recognize so many of the very practical sort of life schooling things that were happening. And it really helped me to back off, relax, and not be so uptight about making sure that certain like boxes were checked, and just watching my kids grow and learn through very practical hands-on life skills. It honestly was a huge privilege for me this year. And while I in some ways still fight that little monster in the back of my head that's like, you didn't finish that book, you didn't do that book, you never even picked up that book. I know that I can look at my children at the start of the school year and at the end of the school year and see so much progress. And that's all I'm looking for each of my kids every school year, is progress for them, who they are, where they are, and what they're capable of at that time. So one of the things I get asked most about is gather round. Because I shared that with us moving right at the beginning of the school year, I didn't want to be trying to unpack boxes and arrange things and jump straight into all of our curriculum. So I decided that for the first month after we moved in, we would do gather round. We would do their South America unit as a family. It is a group focused, sort of family-based curriculum. You have your teacher manual, and then you have your student workbooks, and those are grouped off based on sort of age and level to like early elementary, late elementary, middle school, high school, yada yada yada. I felt like that could be a good ease back into homeschool for us for the school year. And lots of people wanted to know my thoughts and wanted to know if we were going to continue on using gather round. This answer may confuse you a little bit, but here it is. I loved so many things about gather round. I think it's a fabulous curriculum on its way up. I think that it's going to be a curriculum that you're going to continue to hear more and more and more and more about. I think it's one that is going to become part of the homeschool zeitgeist, if you will. Like, it's going to become just ingrained in us that everybody knows. I feel like with social media, that can really amplify certain curriculums. There are old school curriculums, Bob Jones, Abeka. These are ones that my mom was shopping for, Singapore math, that my sister and I used when we were children, cough, cough, like 30 years ago, being homeschooled. So those kind of curriculums have been around for a long time. But then you've got these newcomers, and they are really, because of social media and channels like mine and other moms who blog and vlog and Instagram and all of that and share homeschooling stuff, it really helps these curriculums rise up and become more part of the norm. And so, I'm thinking in my mind of, like I said, gather round, the good and the beautiful, stuff like that. My children are, I have 8 children from ages 2 up to 14. My daughter's a freshman in high school this year, and then we've obviously got some preschoolers and just baby toddler, and then everything in between. Because I've got a high schooler and my 7th grader is doing a lot of similar stuff with her, with my high schooler, it's just, for me, the family style, that's what we've always done in the years past. We've used a ton of the good and the beautiful. And so I was so excited to try gather round and see if I could make that work family style for all of us. And it did serve that purpose that I needed for that month after we moved in. But it just doesn't quite work for us in terms of it being a family style for everyone all the way up through high school. I think maybe once my 2 oldest are both in high school and they are, sort of solidly doing their thing in high school, that maybe that's something I could pull back in, where I would be able to do that with my elementary kids, because then my twins will be in kindergarten, and I can incorporate them as well as my other kids who will be probably at that point in 5th, 6th grade. It's hard for me to keep track, y'all, especially because we homeschool and grade level is very loosey-goosey. All of that to say, I feel like that answer seems strange to say I love it, but we're not using it right now. But that's just the truth. I loved it. There's so many things I love about it, and I hope to be able to incorporate it more in the future. But for right now, for this coming school year, it's just not one that that fit in with how we plan to homeschool for the coming year. Okay, next I want to talk about Apologia. We've been using Apologia for 2 years now and really enjoy it. This is kind of what we use for our Bible right now. So there are multiple volumes to this Apologia series. The first one, volume 1, is Who is God? This is Who Am I? Volume 2. Volume 3 is Who is My Neighbor? And then I believe volume 4 is What on Earth, perhaps. But you've got your teacher book and then you've got your student workbooks. You can also get younger, like sort of coloring notebooks that are more appropriate for a younger age. So you can incorporate younger kids into it as well through those. I have just so enjoyed the conversations. I'm sure if you went back and watched my video from last year, I'm basically saying the same thing verbatim, but I just really enjoyed the conversations that this curriculum opened up for myself and for my children, to think about a lot about what we believe and why we believe it, and to question things. And it's just something that I feel is very important, that my children have their own faith, that I'm not just giving them mine, that I'm helping them find their own. And they know that there's no question that's off limits. They can ask me anything. We can talk about anything. I will just keep this video short, but we tried a new church this weekend and it was a very interesting experience. And there were lots of questions after. So things like that, I just love how it opens up just all kinds of questions. And I also want to mention Mel Science. That has been just such a fun, I can't even remember how many years now we've been using Mel Science experiments. But that's kind of a tongue twister. But I just so enjoy them. They've sponsored, not on this channel, they've sponsored on my vlog channel before. I don't know if I have a discount code or anything like that currently with them, but if I do, I'll list it down below. This video is not in any way sponsored by them, but I've really enjoyed the Mel Science experiments. So have my children. They are very fun and they remind me a lot of science experiments I did in junior high and high school that I thought were just, cool. Watching things burn and sizzle and clouds and foam and just all kinds of different things. The chemical reactions, if you will, are exciting even to old ladies like me. My kids have enjoyed them so much, and that's something we'll definitely be carrying into next year as well. Nature notebooking. This is a always favorite of mine in terms of things that we add into our homeschool, something I can never see myself removing from our homeschool. I don't care if I was the most rigid, worksheet obsessed homeschooler ever. I just don't think I could ever get rid of the whimsy and fun that is nature notebooking, combining it with bird watching and now that we live on this farm with all of these critters and we've got, some land where we've got a little area of woods that we can walk through and discover things and find things, it's honestly become a part of our everyday. I remember previously when we lived in our neighborhood, nature notebooking was an event. It was something that we had to pack up and go, and we would go to different various parks and things like that around us. And now it's just honestly a part of practically every day, and I love that. I do want to do a video upcoming sharing a little bit more about how nature notebooking has changed for us and some of the things that we really incorporate and utilize right now, and how we incorporate, like I said, all of the sort of age groups into that. So I will do that video upcoming. The next thing that I got a lot of questions about was my oldest daughter doing the Good and the Beautiful book studies. So the Good and the Beautiful Language Arts ends at level 7, and then level 8 are book studies. And I'll be honest, I was a little bit apprehensive about how that was going to go, if I felt like she was going to learn the things she needed to learn. It was just, something that was very new for us this year. We really enjoy using literature as like sort of the core and base of the things that we do. Arguably my main goal in everything I do with homeschooling is that I want to raise my children to be readers, to love reading. Because to me, it's the key that unlocks every door of anything that they ever want to know and learn, is to learn to love reading. If your kids are super into certain fiction books and stuff like mine are right now, my oldest are reading these series books, and they're just, you know, this is what they do with every waking moment that they have that's a spare moment, is read these books. It makes them better writers. It increases their vocabulary. It helps them understand grammar on a whole new level. So practically just opening books and reading books that interest your children is so powerful. So I was hopeful for the book studies that those would work out well, and they did. My daughter was, you know, I let her choose which one she wanted to start with, and she wanted to start with Abraham Lincoln. She was really excited to do that one, and she really enjoyed it. And she is the kind of kid that is not super enthusiastic about most school related things. If you ask her if she liked something, she'll most of the time sort of be like, yeah, it was okay. Like she's not somebody to be like, oh my gosh, it was so fun. Like she's a little more even keeled about things, but she really enjoyed it and vocalized that to me, so that was great. Again, as we're sort of transitioning, you know, if you're using those for your 8th grader, as you're sort of transitioning them, getting them to, as you know, be as autonomous as possible as they move into high school in the coming year, that was really my goal for her in her 8th grade year, was to really help drive home the importance of her taking a hold of her education herself and deciding what was important to her, and understanding the cost benefit analysis for prioritizing certain things and not other things. And yeah, it was a good learning year this year, and I think it really set her up for what will hopefully be 4 very successful years of high school. Teaching textbooks, math, I don't know what else to say other than I think it should speak for itself that we've been using teaching textbooks for so many years now, and haven't strayed from it. None of my children thus far are super naturally inclined to math. It's not a subject that anybody, you know, we don't have any math savants at this point in our family. Who knows? We've got more up and coming that maybe will be. So I like the gentle approach of teaching textbooks. I like that. I feel like it keeps my kids' interest. It helps break up because they don't have a ton of computer subjects right now, like online subjects or anything. Most of what they do is pen and paper. So I like the adding in, you know, doing their math online, doing teaching textbooks online, really helps to break up the monotony of the pen and paper work. So teaching textbooks, always good for us. I love that they have family plans, helping to make it a little bit more affordable for larger families. I love that you can access it from anywhere. If you're traveling or on the go, you can access it, and they're just constantly working to develop things and change things and introduce new, you know, the 4.0 version and whatnot, to always make sure that they're listening to the feedback of the people who are using it, and really incorporating that into the changes they make in it. So I've just been very, very pleased with teaching textbooks over the years. Like I said, our focus this year was super heavily on, you know, sort of the core subjects, reading, writing, and math. That is what we focused on hardcore with our younger kids. My older girls are much more autonomous in their schoolwork, so I can give them all their subjects. I can give them everything and say, go do this, and then they come to us with questions. That was sort of more the way that this school year went. There was a lot less of me sitting at the table teaching anything, and a lot more of them learning and coming to me with questions, which is not, I like a blend. I like it to be a little more 50-50 with those things, but this year that just wasn't the way that it was. And you know what? Nobody's any worse for the wear. Everybody's done great. Everybody's had a great year, and I can't complain. I'm excited this coming year to go back to a little bit more towards that 50-50 split of things. With that said, we used master books, math and language. I just grabbed a book from my shelf in there. Master books. This is their language lessons for a living education. And then I don't have a math book. These just work really well for my kids, my elementary age kids. I have used Horizons in the past, and it wasn't quite getting their attention. So I love the sort of literary style of this, where you're reading stories and you're sort of following this storyline as you go through the curriculum, and that really helps some of my younger children to grasp the concept. It's very sort of real world practical application of the thing, if it's a math thing, and even for language arts stuff, very real world-esque, and that helps them a lot, I think, to understand what it is. It's not just this strange concept that's out there floating in space and they're trying to make sense of it. It's like, no, this is why that matters. This is when you would use that. So again, that's something that we've seen in their lives every day around here, when they're helping to lay out fences and having to sort of estimate their steps if they're walking, to estimate how long this row will go, or if they're scooping feed for the horses and we say that this horse needs 1 cup of feed and then the other horse needs half that amount. How much is half that amount? That sort of thing. So very practical uses of that outside, and then obviously inside there's so many practical things with baking and cooking, and there's just so much practicality in life that helps you understand why these things are important. And I like that Master Books really kind of helps to focus on that throughout their curriculum. So pleased with that. Again, this year, I feel like I said a lot of the same the last year. Part of the reason I didn't know if I was going to film this video is because I felt like I had so much of the same curriculum from the previous year and most of the same thoughts, but I wanted to go ahead and do it. So I also want to just give a little shout out to All About Reading. That is, I think, probably hands down my favorite curriculum for teaching kids to read. There are other things that we incorporate and use, but whenever I stray from that, I always find myself frustrated, or my child is frustrated and we're both frustrated, and I always end up just going, just put that away and go back to All About Reading. Put that away, go back to All About Reading. And inevitably that sort of helps solve whatever problem that we're having. It's just such a good curriculum, such a good phonics-based, speaking of not phonics-based reading. As y'all likely know, I do have a daughter with Down syndrome. She did go to public school. She went to a charter school for her kindergarten year. And then for various reasons, we felt like, pulling her out was the right thing to do. I was honestly very scared to homeschool her. And if I just can be frank with you, she's still the child that we all have that fear that we're not doing enough, that they're not learning enough. And would she be learning more if she was somewhere else instead of here with me? So she's the child that I feel that with the most. But for so many reasons, I also know that right now homeschool is what's best for her overall. And so I have been, researching and trying to find a good special needs curriculum. Rosie learns different than other children, and that's something that I have, struggled with. Okay, it's been all these years and I've been able to sort of deduce and pick apart and see this kid's struggling, so I can kind of see their learning style and I can help them. Her learning style is very different, and particularly when it comes to reading, as I understand it, it's pretty common for kids with Down syndrome to learn to read by sight words and not by phonics. They start with sight words and then kind of can go back into phonics later. And to me, that didn't make any sense. But as I have worked through this curriculum and watched so many of the videos by the lady who created this and seen so many of the success stories, I can definitely see where that is so beneficial for Rosie. So this curriculum is called So Happy to Learn. I'll link everything down below. I don't want to open it and have everything fall out, but it's basically anywhere from 20 to 45 minutes lessons where you do some connection, you do some movement, have these specialized like sight word books that your student reads from. You've got flashcards, picture and sentence books, and then you have an activity for them to do. Then you take a little movement break. Then I love that she has on here to do 5 to 10 minutes of starfall.com. We have used starfall.com with all of our children, have used it for years. There's a few apps which, again, maybe that will be a video I will do forthcoming, is our favorite apps for the kids, but educationally speaking. But starfall.com is one that we love, and all of our kids do a little bit of Starfall during their school time. Rosie as well. So incorporating some starfall.com, and then worksheets and choice folder time. And so there is some work in, this is not, I would not call this like open and go. There's some work in setting things up, in creating sort of high interest books for your kids, high interest words, where she really encourages you to use pictures of people from your family and pets and things that are very relatable to your child, specifically things they're very interested in when you're creating. Obviously she has, I've got the pack of books here and worksheets and stuff, but she kind of shows you how to create your own too, to build on and add to it. And she has a very positive approach to homeschooling your child with Down syndrome. Lots of great tips for you as a parent and how to approach it, what to expect from your child, and yeah, lots of little success videos and stuff. The only thing that I would say is that if somebody ever wanted to, who is like a good graphic designer, ever wanted to volunteer their time to this woman and this curriculum to help her revamp it and bring it up to the 2021 level, I think that a lot of the new curriculums and stuff that are coming out, and the flashcards and the things that moms make at home and share, like, I mean, the expectations have really come a long way from clip art to a lot of the beautiful graphics that we see in books now. So that would be the only thing that I would really want to see, would love to see change. Not really want to see, but would love to see changed, is if anybody would ever be able to go in and help her revamp this curriculum and sort of bring it up to 2021 as far as the graphics go and all of that. I just think that would be amazing. But all that to say, that does not affect Rosie's interest in any way, and it doesn't affect how well it works. So really, really enjoyed this. If you have a student with special needs, I would highly encourage you to check this out. I mean, it's very specifically created for teaching reading, writing, and math to individuals with unique learning needs. Pretty much all of the students that she shares about, though, have Down syndrome. So really enjoyed that. We're going to keep moving with that with Rosie for the coming school year. Also, My Brother's Keeper. So that is a sort of like a Bible study, sort of like a, you know, a character study, if you will. Created by Not Consumed Ministries, and I found them last year, and or just ordered, I think that was the only thing I ordered, because I was like, I don't know, I've never heard of this, like, what is, really enjoyed it. We added more Not Consumed Ministries things to our homeschool lineup for the coming year because I just really enjoyed them, and the character focus. There's just so much, like, I hate to say it, but like, as my mother used to say, there's so much garbage on television, and my mother would always say, garbage in, garbage out. And there's so much garbage on television, and so much garbage in kids' cartoons. Kids' TV shows, kids' cartoons are, good Lord, they're arguably worse than primetime TV, with some of the garbage that they propagate to kids. And what I'm talking about very specifically is, I don't want to get on a soapbox, pushing of the narrative that siblings have to hate each other and fight all the time, that brothers and sisters have to hate each other and just seek to destroy each other's lives every day and are like arch enemies, that dad is a blubbering idiot who can't do anything or string two sentences together, and that mom is a pathetic, desperate woman trying to be a teenager. Those narratives are pushed so hard in everything from kids' cartoons to every single Disney like sitcom type show. Those are actually banned from my house. Like, just so you're aware, my children are not allowed to watch any of that garbage. We cut that cord years ago when I started seeing how those narratives were infecting the minds of my two oldest daughters when they were younger, and the way that they were kind of like treating their dad, and I just was like, and I could see exactly where it was coming from. That stuff is so toxic, and I don't care how much to me, it was like, I am doing my best to teach my children good characters and morals and values every day, why is this what's coming out of them? Like, why am I pouring all this into them and this is what's coming out of them? Because the reality is that garbage that they watch on TV is sometimes more powerful than anything that we are saying or trying to impart on them. Sorry about my soapbox, but adding in a little bit of extra character development never hurts when you're fighting the everyday battle that is garbage on TV. These are still in our morning basket. They are moving to our morning basket for the coming school year. Love, love, love these Julia Rothman books. There are many different ones, but the nature studies and farm anatomy and ocean anatomy, and they're so fun to add to morning baskets, to add to nature notebooking, to art time, to unit studies. Love, love, love them. I still have so much homeschooling stuff to share with you guys. I feel like I just never can get out everything that I want to share, but I'm excited to share the update on this playroom makeover that we've been working on. We all love this space so much. It's very reflective of our family, and I'm just very excited. That video should be coming hopefully within the next week. Thank you for sticking around if you did make it all the way to the end. Like I said, don't forget to check the shop on my website if you want to see just a few of the digital products that I have released thus far, more to come, and also join the wait list for my exciting project. I haven't been this excited about something in a really long time. That's it for me today, you guys. I hope you are having a fantastic day, and I will see you again very soon.